What's up, guys? Welcome back. My name is JonJonTheWise, and I'm here with another video for you about Cyberpunk 2020 and now Red, since the Red Jumpstart Kit has come out. I think it was a perfect time for me to finally make this video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, mainly because there isn't one out there, a video on character creation in Cyberpunk 2020. There really isn't a tutorial style video from A to Z to give you guys information on how you can start to make your very first Cyberpunk character, or it might not just be your first character, it might be your third, fourth, whatever. But I wanted to give a comprehensive A to Z tutorial video on how exactly you can make your first character in Cyberpunk 2020. And I also wanted to give you guys a way in how you can convert that Cyberpunk 2020 character to the new Cyberpunk Red Jumpstart Kit rules. I have to throw that caveat of Jumpstart Kit rules because they are not the full rules that will be released with the core manual, but it's enough that you can get a taste of the new game coming out. So by the end of this video, you will be able to have had your character with their backstory, with their gear, and everything you need to do to start your game. So throughout this video, it's okay to pause and write some stuff down, whatever you need to do. I'll be giving you guys some images and stuff like that, screenshots on what exactly it'll look like on your character sheet. It doesn't matter what character sheet you're using. It doesn't matter whether you're using paper and pen. Every information that I give you guys will be easy to follow and up to you how you want to interpret it and how you want to put it into practice. So really all you'll need is the official core's rulebook for Cyberpunk 2020. It's available at drivethrurpg.com and many of the other retailers out there, but DriveThruRPG has it as a PDF file, which is really easy to download and get. And if you want to convert your character to the Cyberpunk Red Jumpstart Kit rulebook, you might want to have that rulebook with you just so you can have it as a reference. I don't really think that you'll need it, but you'll need it to play Red because the rules are in there, but to just convert your character, I think I can give you enough information for that. So like I said earlier, this video will cover character creation from beginning to end. The first step in character creation is your role, then it's stats, then it's skills, then it's life path, and then gear and cyberware. And then, of course, the last part of the video will be converting your CP 2020 character to Cyberpunk Red Jumpstart Kit. I have to throw that in there. All right, without further ado, let's get started. So the very first step in character creation is obviously picking your role. And the available roles in the Cyberpunk 2020 rules are Solo, Tech or Medtech, Media, Netrunner, Nomad, Rocker Boy, Fixer, Cop or Lawman, and Corporate or Exec. Now there are other roles in Cyberpunk 2020 and in all these supplements that they have. There's so many fan-made ones. There's so many official ones where they added new roles with new special abilities. And that's up to you if you want to use that. It's up to your GM's discretion. I like some of them. For example, I have one here. Investigator is one of them where, especially in my game, I have a player that used to be a police officer. He was a detective, and now he's kind of, he was shunned from the police force, and now he's a private eye. So he really doesn't have the authority special ability that cops usually have. He has no authority. He's not a cop anymore, but he still is kind of a cop if you think about it. He's more of an investigator and a detective. So giving him the special ability of authority just doesn't make sense. Now, once you have your role ready to go, it's the next step, and the next step is your stats, your bread and butter, your everything. This is your intelligence, your reflex, your blah, 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 all the main stats. And the book offers a variety of ways to create your main stats. The three major ones that they offer are number one, random, where you roll 9d10 and you total your points, and then with those points, that's how many points you get for your stats. Then there's the fast method, where you roll 1d10 for each stat and you re-roll 2s or lower. That's obviously the fastest way. You just roll it and there you go. Those are your stats. The third and my favorite one is called cinematic. That is where you have a predetermined amount of points according to how powerful your character is supposed to be in the story. And these are the ones that they offer you. Major hero is 80 points. These are your Johnny Silverhands and all the other big guys that are in the lore. Those guys are all major heroes, and maybe your character is one of those. There's major supporting character, which is 70 points. Minor hero, which is 75 points. Minor supporting hero, which is 60 points. And average, which is 50 points. Personally, in my opinion, and in my game, I gave my guys the minor supporting hero 60 points. I don't like that classification because it made it sound like they suck. And you got someone that, even though they're supposed to be a minor hero, they're more powerful than anybody that they come across. These guys have 60 points as their maximum, and they would just walk into places and hose people down, Now, when you're making your stats, you have to work closely with your GM because they might have some restrictions. For example, in my game, I don't allow any of my players to max out their stat past 7. And this is a new thing that I'm trying because I just want to see what it would look like in practice. If I don't like it, I might retcon it and make it 8. But just work with your GM, see if they have any maximum stat that they don't want you to touch. Now, the other thing you want to keep in mind when you're buying your stats and putting points into your stats is which stat is going to work in tandem with your role the best. So let's say you're a solo, you probably want to have, you want to have the highest reflex that you can possibly have because that has to do with shooting your gun. In Cyberpunk Red, you might want to have high dexterity because that has to do with acrobatics and melee combat. And you might want to have a high body too because that gives you higher hit points or higher damage mitigation. You're going to be in combat, those are the things that you want. You might not care about cool or will or any of the other stats that are on there, but just make sure that you know which stats are the ones that you wanted to put your points in according to your role. Now, moving on, once you have your role and you have your stats all set up, we will be talking about skills. Now, your skills, there are 2 different types of skills that you are offered in Cyberpunk, and that the first one are career skills, and these are skills that are directly connected to your role. Because you are a solo, you get the career skills of handgun and rifle and acrobatics and stuff like that. Those are the ones that you get to choose off the bat. You have a maximum of 40 points that you can put into your career skills before you do any of your other skills. These are the ones that are the most important. They fit with the theme of your character. So 40 points into your career skills, you put them in there. Next, we're going to do pickup skills. So you take your reflex stat and your int stat, intelligence stat. You take those 2 numbers, you add them together, whatever that total is, those are the total amount of points you have for your pickup skills. The idea of this is these are skills that you picked up throughout your life that may or may not have to do with your career, and this is where you become a unique individual. Now, just like in stats, 1 to 10, whatever skill you have, if you're a 10 in that skill, you're the best of the best when it comes to doing that skill. You are so good at gambling. If you're a 10 gambling, you're the best gambler around. You might be able to just make money off gambling and make it your career. You're a career gambler. Now, you got to keep in mind that these skills that you pick tell a story in themselves. You have your role, you have your stats, and you have your skills, and we can already tell a kind of story on who your character is. Now, we have our role, we have our stats, we have our skills ready to go. We're almost done. The next one is my favorite part of Cyberpunk 2020, and what makes it so unique from other tabletop RPGs is the life path. So from the age of 17 to the age that your character is currently, each year in the game, they suppose that one major event has happened, which is called a life event. These events are the things that have happened from 17 to whatever age you are at. Each year, one major life event has happened, whether you've fallen in love, whether you've made an enemy, whether you've made a friend. All these things happen in between your life, and they really, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of telling a story on who your character is. We can tell a story from skills, we can tell a story from stats, but we can really tell a story from life path. Now, most people, when it comes to their life path, they roll for it. There's a nifty little table in the book that tells you where you go. If you roll this, then go here, and then you roll again, and you go there, and then bada bing, bada boom, this is your life path. And it's really a metaphor to the things that happen in your life that are out of your control. There's things that happen that there's nothing you can do about. All you can do is navigate through them and make it an experience and make the best of your situation. And that's pretty much what this life path is all about. It's about telling a story about somebody, the things that they've gone through, putting yourself in their shoes, and being able to tell you an interesting story about them. Another option that I really like is if there's certain things that you want in your life path that you don't want to roll for, like let's say you want your character to have been in the military. You work with your GM and you tell them, hey, I know that this didn't come up in any of my roles, but I want one of the years in my life, the major life event, to be that I joined the military. I want that to be a part of my character. Now, you don't have to roll for that stuff in your life path. You could just add it in there, and I hope your GM is open to that idea, because they should always be open to creativity. You know, creativity makes it fun. Your player gets to play the character they want to play, and the GM gets to have a comprehensive look on what they need to do to make this character work with their plot. Now, a part of your life path also includes a chart for you to roll for your origin, personal style, ethnic origin, family background, motivations, and then of course it's the life events is what we were talking about, the things that happen every year. Now, in my opinion, personally, everything but the life events, I think you should choose manually. Your motivations, your family background, ethnicity, your personal style, those are all things that are not random. Those are things that you kind of have control over, or they're set in stone. They're just facts. Your ethnic origin is a fact. There's nothing you can do about it. You were born that way. And if you want to create a character, you want to choose that. Really, if you want to make your character the way that you want to make it, those are really important things that you should choose for yourself. So origin and personal style, ethnic origin, family background, motivations, those 4 categories. The book should give you some kind of idea on what you should be choosing, but you don't have to be wearing black leather jackets just because you rolled a 3 or whatever, you know? You can wear whatever the hell you want. Maybe you're naked. Maybe you literally walk around naked and you biosculpted your way to look like a Ken doll, and you just walk around the streets of Night City that way. And that's what you want your character to be. Now, another thing that I really, really love doing, and this is totally up to you, but in my opinion, it's kind of a wasted opportunity if you don't do this, is for each life event, there is a small description that the book gives you, like, for example, making an enemy. Your enemy, once you see them, you go into a rage. They have like 10 guys with them at all times. So that's your enemy, you know, and when you see them, that's what happens. That description's all cool and everything, but you know, what's their name? Where did they come from? How did you become enemies? Those are things that are not answered in the book. So on a separate piece of paper or a Word document or something, I like to break down each life event and add names, where this happened, how this happened, why it happened, and just make a real deep story and background for each person. And as you're going through the life events, you can always harken back to some of the other life events that happen. You know, romance, love affair, that's one thing that happened when you're 18. And when you're 21, tragedy, somebody that you love died. Well, we did have a romance at 18. Maybe that's the person that died. Maybe something happened to that person that has now shaped your entire life. If we hadn't gone deeply into talking about names and origins of these life events, we wouldn't have had the inspiration for the other life events. And by the time you're done with all of these life events and you put them all together, I mean, you have an entire fully fleshed out character. And that's why I love Cyberpunk 2020, because it gives you the tools to make a character that is beautiful from beginning to end, has a story, has the hero's journey all over it, everything that you need to create an amazing character. And then, you get into combat and they die. Now, we've talked about life path, we've talked about everything else that you need. This is the last section on how to finish making your character. What you're going to need is gear and cyberware. What is gear? Gear is weapons, your cell phone, your shoes, your clothes, your car, everything else that is an item, that is a tangible item in your life. And your cyberware is, of course, your cyberware. Cyberpunk wouldn't be cyberpunk without cyberware. Now, how much cyberware you have and how much gear you have relies on two factors. Number one, how much money you have, and number two, how much empathy you have, how much you have in your empathy stat. Let's talk about the money that you start off with. The money you start off with, there's this really nifty chart in the book that tells you according to whatever role you are and whatever number you have in your special ability, this is how much money you could theoretically be making. I think the money that you make should have to do with where you are in your life, what class you are in, whether you're middle class, high class, whether you're street scum, all these, there's so many factors. What opportunities did you have? Where did you come from? What's your education? These are all things that determine how much money you have. So personally, I just like to give my players a flat rate of, this is how much money you have. Go at it. $10,000. All right. Each one of you has $10,000 from whatever way you borrowed it. This person gave it to you. You stole it. Whatever. We can figure that out later. But you have $10,000. Go buy your gear. Go buy your cyberware. And we'll start our game as soon as you're done. Personally, I tell my players you can put in whatever you want from whatever supplement you want. I just have the last word, okay? So if I feel like I don't like it and I think it's too much for your character or it doesn't make sense with their story, then I might tell you that, you'll have to look for another option. Now, we've talked about gear and weapons and stuff like that. That's all good. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty cyberware. Now, in Cyberpunk, they have this really cool stat called humanity that has everything to do with your empathy. So for each point of empathy, you multiply that by 10, and that's how much humanity you have. So let's say you have 6 empathy, you have 60 humanity points. And each piece of cyberware will have a humanity loss, a cost to how much it costs you to lose your humanity. The idea is a really philosophical one, and it harkens back to Blade Runner, to Android's dream of electric sheep. It's that kind of question, when you have so much cybernetics in you, so much robotics and metal pieces, by the time you're all said and done, are you even a human being anymore? What part of you is human? How much of a percentage of robot are you? How much of a percentage human are you? What's left? That philosophical idea really messes with people, and they might come down with a case of what the book calls cyber psychosis. And this is where when your empathy reaches 0 because of how much cybernetics you have completely lost your mind. You've lost it. You don't know if you're man. You don't know if you're machine. You don't know what you are. Your brain isn't working the way it's supposed to be working. And there's a whole division of the police force sent out just to put down these rabid dogs that are out there. Cyber psychos are known for mass shootings, for killing themselves, for causing heavy destruction. I mean, we already have stuff like that in the world today. Just imagine if those people were superhuman as well, where they didn't feel pain and they could jump 30 feet in the air and fire 2 heavy machine guns on each hand like Rambo with no recoil. These are insane superhumans that have gone cyber psycho out there. So we need a police force that can go out and put them down. And I think it's a really cool philosophical thing, but we're digressing a little bit. So when you're getting your cyberware, you want to make sure that you have enough empathy stat to be able to get the cyberware that you want. You want to make sure that your GM is okay with the cyberware that you're picking. And once you have all that, you have your cyberware, your gear, your role, your stats, your life path. That's everything, right? That's 5? Yep. What else am I missing? Your skills. That's right. Then you'll have your skills. Once you have all those, you have a completely fleshed out Cyberpunk 2020 character, ready to play, ready to roll D10s and D6s, and you're good to go. Now, we're not done because, like I said, the Cyberpunk Cyberpunk Red Jumpstart Kit was just released, and the rulebook was just released, so let's convert our characters. Now, keep in mind, there is no exact science on how you can convert your characters to Cyberpunk Red, and there is no real tutorial out there for it, so I think this is the first of its kind, but it's really not that difficult to do, and it's really not that difficult to convert everything in Cyberpunk 2020 to Red. It just takes a little bit of thought, a little bit of time, and that's it. You're ready to go. The main stat that has been removed from Cyberpunk 2020 in Red is attractiveness. That stat is completely gone. So just take the number from that, take that out, and add in 2 new stats: will and dexterity. Now, will has to do with surviving. Willpower, or will, has to do with surviving stress, courage, and stuff like that. Anything that has to do with willpower. Dexterity has to do with acrobatics, melee combat, and all kinds of other stuff. So all you have to do is take the points from your attractiveness and distribute them into will and dexterity, whatever way you see fit. You might want to take some away from luck. You might want to take some away from your movement allowance, your body, whatever you want to do to make sure that these stats are taken care of. The next thing that you'll have to convert is some of your skills. Some of the skills that you have in Cyberpunk 2020, especially the attractiveness ones, they'll have changed because of Cyberpunk Red. Something that might have used reflex before now no longer uses that. It uses dexterity. So with your GM's discretion and your own philosophy on things, work together and figure out which stats will need to be changed. Which skills will need to be changed according to the new rules. So really, that's all. That's it. I mean, the Jumpstart Kit is kind of bare bones. It's more like a primer just to get you started in the game. I really love the combat. The net running is amazing. So it's hard for me to play my Cyberpunk 2020 game without implementing those new rules. So I've just made like a hybrid. I made a hybrid 2020 Red characters with rule set and everything. Anything that's not in the Jumpstart Kit, I just harken back to the 2020 rulebook. And that's it. You got a Cyberpunk Red Jumpstart Kit character. You have your character ready to go. You have your role, your life path, and everything you need, and you're ready to play. Now, I want to say a big thank you to everybody that's been watching my videos and supporting me. Thank you, Talsorian, of course. Thank you to all my YouTube supporters, people on Twitter, and everywhere. If you guys want more of these videos, make sure you write in the comments of what you want to see. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. And I also have 2 other podcasts that I do. It's a video game podcast called the Point and Click Podcast, where we talk about video games and gaming news and stuff like that. And then I have one that I do with my wife called the Wise and Sassy Podcast, where we talk about family, drugs, life, TV, whatever we want. It's just me and my wife shooting the shit and talking shit. So that's pretty much it. If you guys are into stuff like that, go ahead and subscribe. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify for both of them. And where else? I think that's it, right? Oh, well, Podbean as well. You can listen to it on... Oh, duh, of course. They're both on YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can see live video. We go live on my Twitch for the Point and Click Podcast as well. We don't go live for the Wise and Sassy Podcast, but we do record video and upload it on YouTube. So make sure you guys subscribe to those channels as well if you're interested. Other than that, love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the next one, and have a good one. Happy gaming. Bye.